Welcome to the Unwritten Podcast with your host, Thomas Malpass, where we are on a mission to help the world find more purpose, passion, and peace in their everyday lives. Through deep conversations and connection, tune in because we are all on this journey of life together. So, I went to the club about 3 weeks ago now, and I was getting grinded on by at least 5 to 7 different women. And I went to the club not expecting anything. I just wanted to go, have a good time, dance, maybe have a drink or two. And I went with a close friend of mine. And it was just weird. I felt like the universe was telling me something, like why was I getting grinded on, and why was my friend not? He didn't get grinded on until the very last song of the set, when the place was about to close at 2 a.m. and it was only one chick. So why am I telling you this story? What does this have to do with anything? Well, I felt my ego coming up during this time. And if y'all are in the self-development, personal development, whatever world, you know that ego cannot be good all the time. And there's a book about it, actually, Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. So that's what this episode is about. This episode is about how I felt my ego creeping up during that concert. So let's get right into the story and what ego is and how understanding your ego can help you navigate life in a better way. Okay. Ego is a person's sense of self-esteem, self-importance. It's that part of the mind that is kind of somewhere in between your conscious mind, like you're self-aware, but also you could be unconscious of it, because that ego is how you sense, that ego is like how you come off to the world and how you see yourself come off to the world. And also how you identify with yourself and your self-worth. So for example, in this story, when I was at the concert and I was getting grinded on, I was feeling super confident. I was surprised. I was pleasantly surprised to get grinded on, but I didn't grind back. I didn't try to talk to any girls for that matter. I was just dancing and having a good time. But this could lead to arrogance, meaning when you, let's say you're getting grinded on or anything that inflates your ego, it could be building up arrogance in yourself because it's a feeling of superiority. Like I could have been getting grinded on and my friend was not, and I could have been like, I could have made fun of him. Like, what's going on, man? Why aren't you getting grinded on, but I am? And I didn't do that. I actually, when it was happening too much, I had to take a break and go sit at the bar for a little bit and stop dancing. I let that part of myself go. I let the arrogance go. And this is just coming from a extremely self-aware person. I often tell people I see myself in third person a lot of the times, meaning if you're playing a third person video game, you see a camera angle over your entire body. And I noticed this and I was like, no, I can't. This is fun and everything, but I'm not going to let this inflate my ego and arrogance. Now, the good aspect of that part is building self-confidence. in that moment, you could be feeling good, like, oh man, like this is, like I was saying, like this is pleasantly surprising, and it was subconsciously building up self-confidence in myself. It's when you take that self-confidence and it turns into overconfidence and arrogancy. It's when you're letting your ego become the enemy. Okay, what's the next part of this story that has to relate to good versus bad ego aspects? So in this moment, I took it upon myself to take a step back, stop grinding. Actually, the entire concert, I wasn't grinding back. I didn't like go. I didn't purposely go up to girls and try to dance with them. I didn't do that in the entire concert. Every time somebody danced, they came in front of me and started dancing. And this is another reason why you can't let your ego get inflated. But for me, I took it as a way to take a step back, and this is an aspect of assertiveness in your ego. Ego can drive assertiveness, meaning, what does it mean to be assertive? Okay, it means you stand up for yourself, and you may stand up for others and what you believe in, what you believe in, and what you believe may be necessary in any given moment. Okay? But this could also, the opposite side of that, of assertiveness, is selfishness. So instead of standing up for yourself, you take that too far, and you may prioritize only yourself at the detriment of others. You may prioritize your assertiveness in yourself, in your ego, over the detriment of others, if that makes any sense. And that's when ego becomes the enemy. Finally, the last good versus bad aspect of ego that came up during this dancing concert of grinding and drinks: the comparison trap. Many of you know, I know, for me, comparison is one of the biggest comparison is one of the biggest forms of analysis paralysis for me. You see an influencer that's inspiring to you, that you may want to follow in their footsteps and become an influencer yourself, but then you get so envious, or you get so judgmental of them, or you start to feel less than them and inferior than them, and how could I ever do that? And then you get stuck. Keep sticking to the dance concert story. My friend seen me grinding, dancing with other girls, and he could have compared himself, like, wait, why am I not getting any girls to grind on me? Why am I not dancing with any girls? What's going on? And this could be applied to anything, not just dancing, not just going out. Anytime you compare yourself to somebody that may be in a better position than you are, this is a enemy. This is the ego becoming the enemy when you fall into this comparison trap, because your ego is a part of your identity. There's good and bad aspects of it. It's when you let it get it's basically like, I see ego as a balancing line in your personality identity, and it's when you cross a certain threshold that it becomes an enemy. Comparison is one of those aspects, and it could be in a good and bad way. For example, if you compare yourself to somebody and you use it as motivation, like, oh, this is possible, I could get there one day if I just put in the work. Or it could be a bad way where, oh, why are they doing, like, they don't deserve that, I could do better, and you get into a competition, an unhealthy competition with them. So how do you keep this in check? You keep all of this in check by remaining humble. Remember that humility helps us learn from mistakes, and that being self-aware while being humble keeps you in a growth mindset. Think about it. When you're humble, you always have room to grow. If you're not humble and you think you know everything, even if you're self-aware, you may be self-aware but not humble, or you may be humble and not self-aware. By practicing both, it allows you to reflect on what you're doing, how you show up in the world, and staying curious while you're doing all of this. For example, when I was in that moment and I was pleasantly surprised and I was feeling my ego rise up, I was curious. I was like, oh wow, this is new. I honestly have never experienced something like that. I've been to clubs, I've been to concerts plenty of times, but that was something new. And I learned something from it. I learned that I could have went in and tried to have a one night stand or whatever, but I didn't. And that just goes back to my values and what I value. Most people are not gonna find their wifey, I'm looking for a long-term relationship, in a nightclub. You never know, you might, but it's just not some place that I will find myself. But again, going back to the ego and being curious, learning from your situations that come up, taking a step back, reflecting, and understanding that the ego is not always the enemy, but it can be the enemy if you let it get out of hand. And that's it for this episode, guys. As always, subscribe wherever you are. I'm trying to build my YouTube channel up, so go subscribe to my YouTube channel. And yeah, as always, stay curious, keep going. You got this. Peace.